Bonjour à tous, c'est Evernoob. On se retrouve pour la suite de nos aventures dans The Forgotten City. Tout est au carré pour organiser l'élection. On va essayer de convaincre le marchand de voter pour Galerius. Et ensuite on va précipiter l'élection pour essayer de libérer Julie et récupérer la plaque grecque. Il n'est pas à vendre. Pour qui il faut voter? J'aimerais que vous votiez pour Galerius. Un cadeau aurait-il changé d'avis? Très bien, voici 3000 deniers. Je m'en vais. Ok, tentons maintenant de précipiter l'élection. Et on espère que ça passe. Où en est l'élection?
It must be completed by dusk, just the same as any other official business. It'll be between Sentius, the incumbent, and Galerius, the challenger. Why do you ask?
L'élection peut-elle commencer?
As I said, I'm planning to hold it before dusk. But I suppose I could hold it sooner, if there's a good reason.
L'avancer pour éviter des conflits entre les électeurs.
Yes, I have overheard some rather unpleasant arguments. The last thing we need here is additional conflict. Very well, I'll get things started right away.
Croisons les doigts, sinon bah écoute, ça me permettra de voir précisément...
It is time. Let us meet to elect our magistrate.
Time to go to the theater.
Donc pendant le truc, est-ce qu'il y a quelqu'un qui a enfreint la règle d'or? Parce que la dernière fois que je parlais à Saint-Ilia dans la citerne, il y avait l'élection en même temps et la règle d'or a été enfreinte. Ah, l'amphithéâtre, oui, ça fait sens. Donc ça me permettra de faire un peu le tour également. Lui, il vote pour Galerius. Galerius aussi. Galerius, 3. Sentius. Sentius. Ça fait 2. Il manque des personnes encore. Lui votera Sentius. Il va pas gagner, hein. Je sais pas.
Citizens, we have a quorate body of voters gathered here to elect the city's magistrate. The candidates are Sextus Sentius Imperiosus and late nominee Gallus Galerius Helva. Marcus Malleolus Gurges withdrew his candidacy earlier today. As agreed, we shall dispense with ballots and candidates will abstain from voting. Let's make this quick. As I say your name, call your vote. I'll start with you, Horatius.
Sentius, of course.
Georgius.
Galerius. He saved the life of my dear friend Fabia.
Dacius.
Galerius.
Virgil.
The man who put a stop to the threats I've been receiving.
Ah, ok.
Galerius.
Ulpius.
Galerius, the man who saved my life.
Rufius.
The man who treated my rheumatism.
Ok, donc en fait tout le monde compte voter pour Galerius à part lui.
You have made your
Et ben j'avais même pas besoin de faire de la corruption.
Your new magistrate is Gallus Galerius Helva.
What?
It has been decided. Magistrate Galerius, would you like to make a brief address?
I just want to say, this isn't something I ever wanted. Now that you put your trust
Je suis
in
candidat
me,
depuis
I'm
5
going to do
minutes.
everything I
Merci
can
de
not to
m'avoir
let you
élu.
down. I'll need some time to put together a list of the changes I want to make around here. But I promise you, there will be changes. My first order is that Dooley is to be freed. Horatius, release him from his cell immediately. Please. Wait, do I need to say please? I suppose not. That's it. You can all get on with your day. Nothing else to see here.
Julie, s'il vole, il va très vite et... Ouais.
We're finally alone. I see we're all now. Is that?
Attends.
See.
J'ai peu de temps. Ok, non, je vais aller récupérer la plaque, comme ça je les aurai toutes. Je sais que tu as besoin de demander, tout va bien se passer.
Fortune smiles on you today, Julius. Magistrate Galerius here has ordered your release.
You're going to let me out of here?
I'm sorry it took so long, my friend. And it wouldn't have happened at all if it wasn't for a newcomer. So be sure to offer your thanks when you can.
I will. I will. Thank you, Galerius. I'm so happy.
I'd love to stay and chat, but I've got a lot of work ahead of me. Why don't you go to the baths? Then tell Georges I said you could have some new clothes. Then
Tac.
I want you to go
La
home
plaque,
and
c'est
rest.
fait.
I'll speak with you soon.
Sauvegarde. Non. En fait, j'ai pas besoin de te parler.
Oh, thank you. You're a big helper. You can have my shiny plaque, and maybe you can help me find my treasure. My friend Hannibal used to look after me. But before that, he
Qu'est-ce que c'était?
gave me a key to the cisterns and told me to keep it safe.
Bah oui,
Please help me find
ça j'ai déjà vu.
Oh, thank you. I hope you find it. In the cisterns. Oh, look over there. Maybe it is treasure.
Ouais, lui il va enfreindre la loi tout de suite. On va d'abord aller déverrouiller. J'aime pas garder des quêtes secondaires non faites.
And it's just lying out here in the open. Maybe nobody wants it anymore. Maybe no one will mind if I
L'entrée des citernes, je me souviens plus où elle est.
take it.
Don't you dare.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Protect these people, please.
Parfait. Bon, c'était couru, mais... Au moins j'ai la clé. Et j'ai la plaque, j'ai toutes les plaques. Donc là, à la prochaine boucle, je peux aller au temple. Et je ne sais plus où est l'entrée des citernes, elle doit être quelque part en hauteur. Je vais quand même lancer Galerius sur les tâches en arrivant.
Salva. Oh. Oh.
Tac. Ok. Donc la citerne. Il me semble que j'avais déjà vu... Mais... Bon, je vais faire le tour par le haut. Ou sinon, je peux l'ouvrir depuis le bas. J'imagine. Attends, je vais où là? Non, c'est bon. Ouais, je vais l'ouvrir par en bas.
That's quite an impressive bow you have there. Just
Je ne veux pas te parler. Toi, tu vas me dire de ne pas rentrer dans la citerne, mais je vais quand même y rentrer.
Hey, you're not thinking about going into the cistern, are you? Whoa.
Tac. Puis je sais pas où est l'entrée. J'ai l'impression d'y être déjà passé dans le courant de mes vidéos, mais où est-ce que c'est? Je me souviens plus là tout de suite. Ah mais c'est pas l'arc d'or. clé de la citerne. Donc Scintilla, elle est là. Et l'entrée, elle est quelque part dans le coin, non? Là, genre. Non? Ça mène où, du coup? Sur la hauteur. Oui, j'étais déjà passé sur cette porte, effectivement. Bon, les plaques. Plaque grecque. Plaque égyptienne. Plaque sumérienne. Et plaque romaine. Et ben voilà. Petite collection de statues ici aussi en arrivant. Okay. Prononcer son nom. Alors, dans l'ordre, on va commencer. Nergal le féroce, accordez-moi une audience. Osiris, seigneur du silence, accordez-moi une audience. Hadès, seigneur des innombrables, accordez-moi une audience. Pluton, père des richesses, accordez-moi une audience. Ah, on entend Scintilla qui pleure derrière. Ah, la même chose. Nergal le féroce, accordez-moi une audience. Osiris. Hadès. Ah, ça suffit. Là on arrive... Ah d'accord, on arrive dans toutes les parties successives en fait du temple. Donc là par exemple c'est Hadès. Non, c'est Pluton. Non, c'est Osiris. Ah, c'est celui actuel peut-être? Je sais plus. Enfin, je sais pas. Là, c'est la partie grecque. Ah, bah oui, là, je m'en doute, je t'assure. Donc, si je fais Hadès, là, je peux rentrer direct. Non, bah, je suis pas sûr de savoir comment ça marche. Très bien. Alors, on peut dire qu'on change de déco, hein. Pas mal, pas mal. On va faire un peu de tourisme. Hein. Et une petite sauvegarde. Donc là, on a Charon. Là, ça doit être Perséphone. Et Hadès.
And here you are. Allow me to introduce myself. As you have already gathered, I've been known by many names. Nergal to the Sumerians, Osiris to the Egyptians, Hades to the Greeks, and Pluto to the Romans. But the one constant through it all has been my title, God of the Underworld. And I've been watching you with curiosity, mortal, ever since your arrival. You're unlike the others, aren't you? And what is more, you carry a weapon that was never intended for mortals to wield, and you do it so brazenly that there will be time for your reckoning later. First, as a reward for undoing the desecration of my obelisk, I will allow you to satisfy your curiosity. Ask what you will.
Quelle est votre histoire?
My story is many thousands of years long. You will need to be more specific. What do you wish to know?
Vous êtes un dieu?
It is a matter of perspective. God is a label I was given by you mortals, not one I gave myself. Your ancestors revered me because to them, my knowledge and technology made me incomprehensibly powerful, just as you might seem so to an insect. But despite all that, there are rules even I must obey.
Pourquoi avez-vous l'apparence et la voix d'un homme?
My kin and I all adopted this form long ago, so that we might better understand and communicate with your kind.
Ah oui, ils ont fait la même chose dans Doctor Who. Tous les extraterrestres ressemblent à des humains, c'est moins cher.
Joy, ecstasy, even rage and sorrow, while an acquired taste can be addictive.
Puis-je voir votre vraie forme?
No. Long ago I swore to Persephone that I would remain in this form for as long as we remained among your kind. I must honor that.
Quelle est la femme à votre gauche?
This is my beloved. Like me, she has been known by many names. Ereshkigal to the Sumerians, Isis to the Egyptians, Persephone to the Greeks, and Proserpina to the Romans.
Elle est pas hyper remuante.
Perhaps you might know her as the goddess of springtime, the cycle of life and renewal. Your gaze lingers too long.
Qui est à votre droite?
That is my servant. You would have met by the river, though she wears many faces and goes by many names. Kumutabal to the Sumerians, Kirti to the Egyptians, Charon to the Greeks, and Charon to the Romans. Her role is to ferry souls between the mortal world and this one, and to make their transition as seamless as possible. For that, she earned herself the infamous, if erroneous, moniker, the Ferryman. You will talk more later. For now, ask your questions. As you wish.
Quel est cet endroit?
It has come to be known simply as the Underworld, and it exists because of a wager I made long ago.
Quel pari avez-vous fait?
That is a long story, one that began over 3,000 years ago and continues to this day. You see, long ago my kin and I set out from our home on Elysium to search for other forms of life among the stars. We discovered your planet and witnessed your kind evolving from primates into something lawless and barbaric. You all but destroyed yourselves, your 2 short lives being extinguished by violence and ignorance and disease. Yet Proserpina saw raw potential in you, and persuaded the rest of us it would be squandered without our intervention and stewardship. So we revealed ourselves to your people in a place called Sumer. We offered guidance in agriculture, toolcraft, and law, and you called us gods. For a time you flourished, but soon you were too many for us to oversee. And as you spread from that cradle of civilization, we saw something disturbing. We had sown the seeds of dependency and confusion, and soon you returned to your old ways of violence and ignorance, this time in our name. My kin had seen enough, and gave up on your kind, condemning you as barbaric and chaotic, scarcely more than animals. We began preparations to return to Elysium, our home world, a utopia unspoilt by conflict and unimaginable in its beauty. But my Proserpina could not bear to abandon your kind without guidance, and knowing it would force the rest of us to leave her behind, she made an extraordinary sacrifice. She gave up her immortality to descend permanently to the ranks of humankind. And so she began her inescapable trajectory toward death. Horrified, I acted swiftly. I placed her in suspended animation in a deep frozen sleep to prevent age and sickness from claiming her. And then I pleaded with Proserpina's father, who the Romans called Jupiter, to bring her with us to Elysium. It was and is my hope that once there, we might one day learn to undo what she has done to herself. But he refused. I did everything I could to persuade him, but he would not relent. He would rigidly uphold his final pronouncement. Humans were unworthy of ascension to Elysium, and no exceptions would be made. But seeing that I was aggrieved, he proposed a wager, the terms of which were as follows. If even one human city could prove itself capable of living without sin for a single year, then Proserpina and all of humanity would be permitted to join us in Elysium. My part would be to remain behind, the last of my kind, to watch over you, without interfering, and to sit in silent judgment. And so my reward has been to languish here, enduring a 3,000-year winter, waiting for the day your kind proves itself worthy of her faith in you, so that I might take her with me to Elysium and unthaw my goddess of springtime. And here I am, after all this time, still waiting.
Ok, donc voilà, ça fait plus sens maintenant. Ça fait plus sens, c'est pour ça qu'elle bouge pas. Par contre, pourquoi c'est toujours les mêmes? C'est Prospérine qui fait que le jour est tout le temps revécu. Qui sont vos semblables?
There were also gods who, like me, have been known by many names, but perhaps you knew them by their Roman names. Our leader Jupiter, as well as Neptune, Saturn, Juno, Minerva, Mars, Venus, Apollo, Diana, Vulcan, Vesta, Ceres, and of course, my beloved Proserpina.
Qui a construit la cité?
As the first wave of your kind arrived from Sumer, I had them build a city in their own fashion, so that they might be comfortable and recreate their lives here. I had them build the entrance as a vertical shaft leading to baths, to cleanse them of the sins of their former lives, and to prevent escape. I watched wave after wave of Sumerians arrive, and as their civilization declined over the centuries, they were replaced by Egyptians. Of course, believing themselves to be the superior civilization, the Egyptians promptly built over what had been built before, and made all the same mistakes. After another 1,000 years, the Greeks began to arrive, and then the Romans, and they all did the same thing. They built upon the underworlds of their predecessors, renamed their gods, and ensured their foundations were forgotten.
Pourquoi avez-vous décidé de
To
venir
ensure
ici?
the wager was fair, it was important that my subjects were chosen at random. To this end, I had my servant distribute 1,000 tokens fashioned from silver, a rare element at the time, across all of Sumer. Whoever died while in possession of one of them would be located by my servant and ferried to this place, with no memory of how they arrived. As the tokens were discovered, they were traded, smelted, and fashioned into trinkets, and eventually coins, spreading to Egypt like seeds on the wind. Later, when they spread to Greece, they would come to be known as Charon's obol, or as coins for the ferryman. Some placed coins in the mouths of their dead, hoping they would awaken here, though they had no way of knowing which coins were fashioned from the original tokens. In fact, almost all of the tokens are accounted for, only 2 remain. And so after this wave destroys itself, as it is destined to do, your kind will have squandered the last of its potential to ascend beyond this rock, and Proserpina's along with it.
Comment les humains ont-ils appris l'existence des
It
enfers?
is a regrettable story. One of the first men who came to this place was a king of Sumer and a troublemaker. To be rid of him, I returned him to his people, on the condition that my servant erased his memories of this place. But the erasure did not take completely, and he told stories of this place as if describing memories of a dream. His tales were committed to writing, which came to be known as the Epic of Gilgamesh, and his words were twisted and distorted over generations. Later, the Egyptians would adapt Sumer's stories of the underworld, making them wildly intricate and labyrinthine. Their Book of the Dead and Book of Gates bore less and less resemblance to this place in their priests' pursuit of profit. Then when the Greeks began to arrive, they proved far more cunning. And in a series of incidents that will not be repeated, 5 of them escaped. A warrior named Heracles, 2 kings named Sisyphus and Theseus, a poet named Orpheus, and a Trojan named Aeneas. They each told embellished tales of this place, how to get here, and how to escape. And so from Sumer to Egypt, Greece to Rome, your kind has always told each other stories about this place, though each story contained only a seed of truth. Of course,
l'origine de la
that is
règle d'or.
merely the name your people have given to it, but yes, it is my doing.
Pourquoi transformer les gens en or?
That is a story dating back to the very first wave. After the Sumerians finished building their city, the self-declared ruler threw a banquet to celebrate. Now this man was unmarried, and many women were vying to become his wife, a prestigious position of power and influence in a new world. Of all the women, 2 were particularly ambitious. Both were beautiful, and both arrived at the banquet wearing eye-catching dresses and painted faces, their hair woven in elaborate fashion. The first woman, recognizing that she would require an advantage to win the ruler's affection, draped herself in jewelry, ornate necklaces, bracelets, and rings fashioned from gold. Seeing this ostentatious display, the second woman grew envious, for she had no such jewelry at her disposal. She prayed aloud to any gods that would listen to cover her in gold, and when her prayer went unanswered, she took matters into her own hands. While the others indulged at the banquet, the second woman summoned the first for a discussion in a quiet place. She checked that nobody was watching and pushed her rival from the top of the ziggurat, where she broke her neck on the rocks below. But I was watching, and I decided to answer her prayer. I took the golden bow left behind by Diana, and I shot that woman in the heart, covering her from head to toe in a layer of molten gold. And I left her to stand there, that she might serve as a grim reminder of what befalls those who sin in my domain. But that was not enough, for the entire city was tainted by her sin, and the wager could no longer be won. So I had no choice but to wipe the slate clean. I gilded them all, to make way for a new wave, and began the wager again. And to this day, each of them, and all who came after, line the halls of this city, inanimate but conscious, suspended in time with only their sight and hearing preserved, so they may bear witness to and lament the folly of your kind for eternity, as silent golden sentinels.
Que considérez-vous comme un
I've
péché?
always considered that the cornerstone of morality is the ability to determine right from wrong on one's own. No attempt to lay out rules like your Code of Hammurabi or your 12 Tables of the Roman Republic can ever cover all possible scenarios. This should come as no surprise to you, since the core principle has been expressed in many forms by many of your civilizations. The Egyptians made a rudimentary attempt with "do to the doer" to make him do. The Greeks refined it with "avoid doing what you would blame others for doing." The Roman Stoics added, "treat your inferior as you would wish your superior to treat you." Even the so-called cultists hiding among you often say, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you." It is the simplest of concepts, and each one of you is born with the faculties required to apply it to any situation. Yet none of the peoples who expressed this rule were able to uphold it. Curious, is it not?
Vous n'avez pas l'air de l'avoir respecté non plus.
Enough. You clearly know nothing.
Comment savez-vous quand les personnes commettent un
I'm
péché?
able to commune with all of the statues in the city. Their ears are my ears, and their eyes are my eyes.
Prospérienne est-elle connectée aux statues de la même façon, elle aussi?
If she was still conscious, I suppose she could, but she's not. Why do you ask?
Comme ça, sans raison.
Then what an odd question.
J'ai pas envie d'aller sur un argument moralisateur. D'où viennent les arcs dorés? Pourquoi pas?
When my kin departed, they left behind many relics which I inherited. Consolation prize of sorts. The golden bow originally belonged to one of my kin, who the Romans called Diana, and tasked them with hunting.
Bon, je passe un peu parce qu'il parle.
They became known.
J'ai assisté à des choses terribles que vous ne devez pas considérer comme des péchés. Comment vous laissez se
You plan
produire?
to speak in sweeping generalizations, or are you going to give me an example?
Le suicide.
Abduction? You mean the magistrate imprisoning his daughter in the cistern, I take it. He did so because she sought to escape, a sin I take particularly seriously. Better that he stops her from escaping, albeit brutishly, than I have to wipe out this entire city.
Je suis pas d'accord, mais bon.
Supposing you're right, then my law has been broken, and I should turn you all to gold immediately. Is that what you want?
Non, bien sûr que non, oubliez. Ok. Donc les autres, bon.
Very well.
Changeons de sujet.
Very well.
Il n'y a pas d'autres questions.
And now only, it seems, something is wrong. It has long been within my power to see into the hearts of mortals and weigh their deeds in life. But when I peer into you, I see only a blank slate, as if you did not exist until you appeared in this city. How is this possible? Charon, where did you find this one?
I do not remember ferrying you. How did you come here?
Je viens du futur.
If that is true, then I sense the intervention of someone powerful.
How did you come to be in this time, mortal? Who brought you here?
We cannot know.
J'espère que vous pourriez me le dire.
I do not know. My kin departed long ago, and Proserpine has slumbered for 3,000 years.
J'imagine que ça signifie que vous ne savez pas tout ce qui se passe ici.
Tread lightly, mortal. Enough of this. It seems I will need to put your reckoning on hold for now. But answer this. Why have you come here? What is it you seek?
J'aimerais que vous abrogiez la règle d'or.
Your hubris is amusing, so I will allow you to make your case. But I warn you, if you anger me or waste my time with lies or wrong-headed arguments, you face death here. So, tell me, why should I put an end to the so-called Golden Rule?
Si vous faites ça par amour, sachez que Prospérine ne vous aime pas. Ça semble moyen. Comment voulez-vous que nous vivions sans péché alors que vous-même n'en êtes pas capable? La règle d'or corrompt cette cité et garantit que vous n'y gagnerez jamais ce pari.
How so? And be specific. You have made a grave allegation, and I expect you to back it up.
Malleolus a imposé une servitude pour la tête des gens. Ouais, ça c'est bien.
His cruelty does seem to grow greater by the day.
Déçus fait flamber les prix des remèdes vitaux.
True. I have witnessed him doing that.
Et Rufus est devenu si paranoïaque qu'il a surréagi à n'importe quoi comme à la sexualité de
He is
Virgile.
a volatile and confused fellow, that one.
Je ne trouve pas d'autres exemples.
Pathetic.
Ah, c'est pas mal là. Comment voulez-vous que nous vivions sans péché alors que vous n'en êtes pas
That
capable?
is a very serious accusation, mortal. What sin have I committed? What evidence do you have to support it?
N'avez-vous pas enlevé et emprisonné Proserpinici?
I am well aware of the story told by the Greeks and Romans of my so-called abduction. It is entirely unfair. My love was dying, and I intervened the only way I could to save her life. What would you have done?
Mais elle avait choisi de mourir, non?
It was an act of rebellion against the others. She knew I would have to act to save her, and I did because I loved her. I love her still. Accordingly, I reject your argument.
Vous avez condamné des centaines de personnes à des terribles châtiments. Certaines pour des péchés mineurs et d'autres qui n'avaient pas péché du
Every
tout.
one of those people was guilty of failing to ensure their peers lived virtuously. They failed collectively, and so they were punished collectively. The Romans understand this, as did the Greeks before them.
Si nos rôles étaient inversés, vous ne voudriez pas que je vous punisse pour les péchés des autres.
Ah, but I am a god, and you are a mortal. Why would you expect me to treat you as I treat my own kind? You are not a peer. You are not a respected equal. Let me ask you this. Do you treat insects as you wish to be treated? Do you care for their well-being as you would your fellow man? Do you ensure they have food and shelter and protection from predators? Do you give them rights?
Mentir, non.
Of course not, because that would be absurd, just as it would be absurd for me to treat your kind as equals.
Les vôtres et les miens ne peuvent pas être si différents puisque vous êtes épris de l'une des nôtres.
My love for her does not mean I am not superior, now that she is mortal.
Quelle arrogance, vous n'êtes peut-être pas si différent des humains que vous le pensez.
Bah! For a moment I thought you might have been built.
Bon, on tente, hein.
I see what you are doing. You are trying to undermine the one thing keeping me angry. You have no idea how close.
J'ai rien à faire là. En vrai.
That is a.
Vous en prenez les gens dans cette cité contre leur
These
volonté.
people were all dead when my servant found them. I gave them a second chance at life. Would you prefer to have simply ceased to exist?
En effet.
Accordingly, I reject your argument.
Mais il rejette tout après, moi je... Bon... Ah, ok, on peut peut-être refaire le fil de discussion qu'il y avait tout à l'heure. Non, bah je peux rien faire. Ah, c'est frustrant, là c'est frustrant, là. J'ai manqué quelque chose? Brisez ma chambre, emparez-vous de ma couronne.
Pathetic. The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
J'ai la couronne, je crois. Faire des pas de côté. Oh, c'est tendu là, j'ai peu de chance de réussir au bout. Hein. Ah non mais c'est chaud là. Oula. J'ai failli mourir par ma façon préférée. Maintenant il y a la... tyrolienne. Je crois qu'il n'y a pas trop de statues dans le coin. Je dis ça, il y en a une juste là. Oh non! Oh, sérieux! Ah! Frustration! Si je dois refaire la discussion avec Hadès, là. Alors là, c'est la mort, là. Ça fait péter un câble. Le système de sauvegarde là me... Ouais. Bon, et ben je pensais que j'aurais le temps de finir là, mais je n'ai pas le temps de finir là. Je passerai la discussion pour ne pas avoir à la refaire. Je recommencerai la vidéo à la toute fin. Quoi qu'il en soit, merci à tous d'avoir suivi cette vidéo. On se retrouve très vite pour la suite de nos aventures dans The Forgotten City.